Welcome back to my podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of real estate, leadership, and building powerful partnerships that move businesses forward. I'm your host, Scott Kumler, and today we've got a very special guest joining us. Today, I'm super excited to have Shane Carvalho as the guest. Shane has overcome some of the biggest adversity I've ever seen as an agent. To beating cancer 3 years ago, to losing almost everything, he is now selling over $30 million in real estate every single year. In today's podcast, Shane will break down how he overcame all the adversity he has faced to becoming one of the top producing agents that he is today and being ranked in the top 10 nationwide of a brokerage with over 70,000 real estate agents. If today's episode sparks ideas for you and you're an agent who wants to explore bigger opportunities, we'd love to connect. If you're interested in learning what a partnership with me and Shane looks like, either call or text me at 623-387-2688 or set up a Zoom meeting with my calendar link below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button to see more amazing podcasts like this in the future. Now let's get started. What's up, everyone? I got Shane here. Super excited to have him on the podcast today. So welcome, Shane.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, as always, I'm always interested in kind of hearing your backstory, kind of what got you into real estate. So if you can just kind of take us through a little bit, telling everyone a little about you, what you did before real estate, and then what made you end up getting your real estate license.
Yeah, to keep it short now at the ripe old age of 50, there's a lot of history there. But yeah, like growing up, my dad was a general contractor. So I was, building with him around school time. I went to junior college for a couple of years. So spending summers, vacations, helping part-time, etc. And, really had an interest in construction and building. Worked at the bank part-time when I was in college. And, one day a real estate broker was asking me, he's like, hey, you're always like trying to sell me credit cards and accounts and all this stuff. He's like, why don't you come and talk to me after work one of these days? I think you might be able to have an opportunity to make more money. And so I went to this broker's office and he's like, man, it just seems like you're really good at sales and you're probably only making $12, $15 an hour. Let me show you what I do. And he convinced me to go take principles of real estate. He's like, hey, if you go past this, I'll reimburse your costs. And that started me on the journey of actually thinking about real estate. And what ended up happening after college, though, is I got sidetracked because I got recruited into lending. And so I did lending for my first 9 years, and then I shifted into real estate. But essentially, I did well as a mortgage broker. I enjoyed it. I just really enjoyed being out in the field, being out, not in an office. I enjoyed, fixing and transforming properties. I did my first flip at 25, and that just led me on to just really want to get out there and do real estate. So, here I am 26 years later, real estate broker, have a branch, have my own group of agents. I do have a contractor's license as well because I have a crew that works on our properties and such. Now I have some good lender relationships. I'm not in lending at all anymore, but I do, I'm a real estate broker and I do, practice in construction. I also have a warehouse and a stager that we work with, and I have a warehouse full of furniture. And so we tend to be a full service. Well, buyers and sellers, but we're pretty seller heavy because we're so good at taking on their properties and essentially helping them flip their properties, taking the market. I am trilingual. I'm fluent in Portuguese, English, and Spanish. And so I do business in different languages, obviously different cultures. And we are obviously licensed in Portugal. So I have some partnerships in Portugal. I've done a lot of business with Spanish speaking community, working with, Mexico and some of the South American, countries as well. And just really interested in continuing to grow around the world. Like currently we're in 29 countries and have a lot of interest in expanding and growing my agent base, as well as continuing to produce. I still sell and have a great group of clients that I work with. A lot of them come back, refer people. 90% of our business is repeat referral. And so for now, I run as a solo producer with a big supporting team. We're full service. And then I'm also a certified mentor within EXP. So I'm able to, mentor some of the newer agents that come in as well. And also a leader in this group of ours. And I love to, help and mentor, agents that are coming in at whatever level of experience that I can help.
Nice. Awesome. So obviously there's a lot of new agents that are always kind of coming in this industry, every single year. And so kind of take me back to the early days of when you first got into real estate, when you first got your license, per se. What did you do to go out there and get business? How did you build your business up? Obviously you're a top producing agent now, but obviously it wasn't always like that. So what did you do when you first got into real estate to kind of get your business going and find your first few deals?
It's interesting because when I first started looking for a brokerage, I was so focused on a brokerage that trains. Oh, I need training. I need training. I was so focused on that. Well, coming out of the mortgage business, I obviously had a good handle on how everything works. I wasn't just, cold turkey kept coming in, not knowing anything. And happened to be 2008 when the market was turning. And so we started having a lot of distressed real estate here in California. So with my mortgage experience, I somehow ended up in the whole short sale world. And so I started getting referrals from people that needed help. Some of my lender reps became people that were working on the default side. Obviously, like I'd been working with my escrow teams to fund loans and such. And so I, was in touch with them. I was already familiar with working with a title company, working with lenders, and it helped me kind of slide into because look, even in lending when I first started, I was always very adaptable to whatever the market was doing. I don't follow the market. That's why I've always done well because I've always been very adaptable. When people can't be adaptable, that's when they fail or leave the business. But if you can adapt, you can always be successful. And so starting off, it was this and it was referrals, people I knew. I'd been out of the area for 5, 6 years. And so at that time, I tapped into Facebook as one of my platforms to reach out to people, obviously going to events, talking to people, going to different events, participating in some of the real estate association sponsored stuff. And then I just started building my contacts, my database, and started reaching out, newsletters, calling, texting, just chatting with people. I didn't know people. I was back in California. Here's what I'm doing. Because I was born and raised here, but I was gone. I came back in 2002. So I was away in Bay Area for college in Seattle, then back. So I was gone from like 96 to '02, but then I've been back here now for 23 years. And so yeah, that's how it started, doing some deals, and then one leads to another. This person says they help me, and it just kind of starts to go. But really staying consistent, keeping your nose to the ground. And another thing being new is being open to like whatever comes. Some
Mhm.
falling apart mobile home, some lot in the boonies, some house that they want to overprice like by a lot, like just challenging buyers that had all these issues and you're trying to get them pre-approved and it's like, putting like, sticks together. It's like it challenging, right? It's like just cast a wide net,
Mhm.
let's get experience, let's get things going. That's how it all started. I'll tell you what though, it worked because by year three, I ended up being number one in my brokerage and production. And I was focused on the low end. My price point was only about 250. A lot of the upper agents were in the luxury markets, and I outdid them with 41 units of volume in was it 2011, and that was just grind. I was making 2% on the distress stuff because the bank they would only pay you like 2%. So I was making working my butt off to make 4 or 5 thousand per loan. Like it was a lot of work. And I was 41 units my third year, and that was just sheer just grind.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I know now. Obviously, you've been in real estate for a while now, and you obviously a lot of your business. Obviously, you had a lot of past client business and stuff like that. And I know a lot of the business you might be getting now are people that are in your sphere. Past clients coming back to you. And I feel like as in the real estate industry, that's something that agents lose a lot of focus in on. A lot of times they close a transaction with like one of their past clients, and then they basically forget about them. They don't do anything for them anymore. It's kind of like, okay, it's a one transaction, made my money, and now they're kind of done. But a lot of
Hmm.
people, don't realize the importance of that relationship. Because what is it? About 52% of buyers are using a real estate agent that was either referred to them or it was someone that's in their sphere that they already know. So, what is something because you have such a strong sphere of business and you built a business on such important relationships? What are some things that you've done to kind of stay in contact with a lot of your clients, and how do you, once a deal closes, how do you typically stay in front of your people, in front of your past clients, so that way you do get so much repeat referral business?
That's an interesting perspective because a lot of people get really hung up on these CRMs and all these auto emails and stuff. And so when you are very close with your sphere and you're doing business with, personal relationships, people know if you're spamming them with some garbage on email. I've had clients call, text, respond to emails a little irritated with me. Hey, you want to talk to me? Just reach out. Like they could tell that it's not me because they know if they know you intimately. So what I did is, look, I had to automate because I can't be in touch with everybody. I had to do some kind of automation or some kind of I needed some kind of leverage to be able to keep up, right? So what I did is I created a survey called the All About You form. We email
Mhm.
that to our clients up front. It asks them, hey, partner, kids, birthdays, any pets, favorite sports team, restaurants, do you prefer communication in email, phone, like just a lot of different questions. We input this in their contact and then we have their birthdays. So we send out a birthday gift on their birthday. And so obviously all that's in our calendar. So like I knew today, I already saw this morning the birthdays. I do a quick text or whatever and just, hey, happy birthday. And then we'll send a gift out. And so that's, one way to stay in front of them. I also have time blocks each day for different groups. And in my Google contacts, I have them all grouped. Here's my top 50 VIPs. Here's my past clients. Here's, maybe leads, or here's, my business people. And so each day, and then on Tuesdays is my client update. So every Tuesday, anybody I'm doing any kind of level of business with, we're looking at property, we're in contract, we're getting whatever, every Tuesday they get updates from me. So Tuesday's update day, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is prospecting hour blocks. And so there's a newsletter that goes out monthly, and then there's a couple parties a year, client parties. That's the best I can do to try and just stay engaged.
Nice, nice. Now, I know you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but obviously you have a lot of other businesses that you're also, managing and maintaining and stuff. And a lot of times, obviously agents struggle when they get into real estate. They struggle just handling real estate activities. But obviously, not only are you a top producing real estate agent, but you own a construction company, a staging company, like all that stuff as well too. So, first take us through, all the companies that you do own, and then how do you maintain that? How do you manage that consistently so that way you're not like letting one of the companies fall by the wayside.
Well, prior to prior to this whole little cancer thing I went through that I told you about 3 years ago, I had too much going on. And so it's like you can't be efficient. It was like a couple of retail stores, like 7 Airbnbs. It was real estate, it was construction, it was staging, it was just out of control. So hit the reset button. I was like, okay, after this whole health thing and being down for a while, I was like, obviously I'm killing myself here. I'm just doing more than I can. You can't be the master of all, right? Everybody wants to be a jack of all trades and master of all, but you can be the master of none, really. I noticed it was really inefficient with some of the businesses, and I wasn't really interested. The problem with me is that when you're a good salesperson, you're always a sucker for a good pitch, right? So someone comes up to you, oh yeah, you should do this, we should do that. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. Here's some money. It's just like it just doesn't even. There's no thought about, hey, this is gonna be a distraction. Stay focused, and you're really good at this. Stay with it. So anyway, hit the reset 3 years ago as far as not like resetting like these businesses are fine. It was more just like the reset button, like on life. Like, okay, you got a second chance at life. What do you want to focus on? Like, what's going to be the most beneficial so you can have quality of life, try to stay healthy, and be profitable, and just, manage things, make it manageable because you're so good at this, you're distracting yourself with all this other stuff. So, look, the construction is more of a supporting cast to real estate. We do some other projects for other people outside of the real estate. Mainly, we fix up listings we're going to put on or help buyers remodel when they buy. And like I said, we'll do some side stuff for referrals and other people. And so it's a smaller crew, and we manage that. I have somebody that focuses on that side. Real estate, I do have a branch, a local physical branch. I'm an associate broker with EXP. I do have a good support staff for the real estate. I have about 5 people that support on the real estate side. Now I have about 40 agents that are all over the place. A couple of them are local and then they're everywhere. Obviously, they plug into EXP, so it's like I don't, I'm always here for them if they need me, but it's like they're plugged in, so there's not a lot to manage there. And then the staging, I have a contract stager that will place all the stuff. The stuff I own, I keep in a warehouse, and that warehouse is divided. It's like 3,600 square feet, with like 25-foot ceilings. It's like walking into one of those massive warehouse furniture places. When you walk in, it's pretty like first time you walk in, you're like, wow, here's where all the money disappeared. It's like just a lot. But it's so great to be able to control when to take it in and out to our properties versus trying to schedule with staging companies. And also it saves us money from not having to pay all these extension fees if it's prolonged, or if we suddenly have to move it or whatever. It just gives a lot of flexibility. So I have that. We do stage for some of the other agents. The stager does have some relationships, and so she does stage for other people. She has a little bit of, her stuff as well that's included, and so we do a little bit of that, but mainly it's the real estate is really the main business. And construction it's a legitimate business, incorporated, licensed, insured, all of that. But it's just that I keep it more as a supporting cast. I learned my lesson about being too spread out and trying to just stay in my lane. And so these three things go hand in hand because we use them pretty much on almost every transaction. And what's nice is that some of the people that work in one thing work in all three or in two crossover, and then when they all work together, everybody knows each other, everybody cooperates really well. It's a well-oiled machine. I'm blessed to have really good staff that work really hard. They have fun. They love working with each other. my biggest thing is customer service. We like to keep our clients happy, and they all like live in that space. They all want to keep the clients happy, and that's a blessing as well. Having people that have the same mentality as you when it comes to how to treat the client.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and you kind of mentioned obviously, being with EXP, and so we're both part of the same organization within EXP. We're both part of the Wolf Pack, and so I want to ask you because you're obviously one of the OGs, from the that helped start the original, helped join or became one of the first agents that joined the Wolf Pack. So take me on that journey. Like, what made you at the time when you decided to move over to EXP? Like, what made you decide to move over to EXP, and then what made you decide to choose the Wolf Pack as the organization that you're going to join within EXP?
Well, it's interesting because I actually had been approached by other people before, but I just thought it was a fad. I thought it was a joke, like the avatars. This was before this whole AI and everything else got really popular. So it's like, 7, 8 years ago, like these avatars, this corporate online. I'm like, yeah, this is a fad. This is a joke. Didn't take it seriously. But when they approached me 5 years ago during COVID, our brokers were trying to follow the county policy. We couldn't be out in our office building, so I'm paying a split to a privately owned brokerage. They don't want me in my office. I had remodeled my office so I could sit there with my two assistants. Another buddy of mine was a broker. His office was down the hall. During COVID, he was there with his one assistant. I was there with my two assistants. And that was it. Nobody else was in the building. We're fine, like COVID, whatever. But they're like, no, no, you can't be in the office. There's rules, can't be in the office, COVID, lockdown. And then at that same time, a lot of agents didn't know what's going on, and we also like our mastermind and our buddies from around the country started doing these Zoom calls, masterminds like, let's talk about the market. We're selling homes we can't walk into, can't do inspections, selling homes blindly, like what's going on. Just started masterminding, kind of trying to support each other. And one of my buddies, Mo, down in Bakersfield, he had Mike on as a guest, Mike Sherrard, one day, and I really liked Mike, and my weakness was marketing, social media, and stuff. And so Mike was a big guru, and that's how I had a separate call with Mike. Then Mike introduced me to Connor, and then I liked Mike a lot, obviously, but then I liked the whole marketing thing. But then Connor sealed the deal because I was an investor flipper guy. I played professional poker when I was younger. I was avid fisherman, all that. Well, Connor, professional poker player, avid fisherman, just investor like flipper. I mean, Connor and I were just so alike. And then they brought in even another guy from their upline that was an avid fisherman. And so when I put all that together, it just, because I'm all about relationships and liking people. So, hey, I couldn't work in my office because of COVID. They were completely cloud-based and they were thriving. I thought, shoot, like I thought this was a joke, but look at now. They're the ones that are still going full blast while everybody else is shut down. I was like, this is probably the right time to make the move. So between, Mike and Connor and that whole collaboration, I go, shoot, it's like the dream team, this is where I gotta go. And that's how it happened. I mean, there was no, I wasn't getting paid. I didn't sign a 3-year contract or anything like some of these other brokerages. I won't name any names, but we've all signed NDAs and gotten offers from these other companies. It's nice to actually go on your free will to a company and not have to get paid, right? I mean, there's a lot of perks when you get there, but I did kind of laugh about that after the fact because I'd evaluated like 5 or 6 brokerages. I want to make a good decision, and I had gone back to the private brokerage I was at before because I decided they were reasonable and made sense. I was just going to retire there, and I ignored EXP. Well, 2019, all of a sudden, EXP circles back, and I'm, with this situation, and I'm like, you know what? It's the right time. And they weren't bribing me. They're like, just hey, come over. I think this would be a good fit. We could do this, this, this. This is we could save you this much money. You're paying a lot in splits and stuff. So it made sense. There was no pressure, and there was no contract, and there was no payoff. And so honestly, I mean, it's the way it should be. Like, we're not professional athletes. Like, we shouldn't have to sign contracts and get bribed to go places. We're self-employed people that are just trying to hang our shingle in the right place. And so the fact that people need to get paid to move places, that just doesn't really, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me. And just like when you leave a place and all of a sudden they want to offer you better, it's like, well, why didn't you be your best foot forward when I was here? It's just, those things kind of, so it was just, yeah, made it a very easy transition. It's like, just come be part of the group. This is what we're doing. It's exciting. We're gonna grow. And it just was perfect timing, perfect fit, and it was meant to be. And I'm very happy I did it. And excited to be here and excited to grow. And obviously, life throws setbacks. Like, I had some major health issues during COVID and such, but healthy now and back on the saddle and just 26 years in the business. I still got a ways to go, and I'm not quitting now.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. Yeah, and kind of like you mentioned, I mean, obviously the Wolfpack's got this amazing culture, that everyone can be a part of. I mean, I know you're on the mastermind call earlier with the Wolfpack, and just so many people contributing and talking, and so many ideas being shared, which is super amazing. So, I have one other question I want to ask you as well too. So, if a new agent were to come up to you today, and obviously you got a lot of years of experience. You've been licensed, I think you said 26 years. You've been licensed for a very long time. So if a new agent were to come to you today and ask you your advice on the one thing that they need to focus on as a brand new real estate agent in order to start kind of creating success, what'd be the one thing that you would say be the most important thing at the beginning to focus in on as a brand new agent?
It's hard to just say one, but I think that the very first, like say the very first thing, but there's I think a couple more things that go with it. The very first thing is let everybody know that you're in real estate now. Don't be a secret agent. It just seems like people get their licenses and they're timid about letting people know what they're doing. Like let people know what you're doing. Start building those relationships. But yeah, I would like to say, a couple more things to go with that is, treat it like a business, have a schedule, like actually go to work and be consistent, right? So just be consistent. Um, and then of course, then the next steps after that, I know you said one, but those first three things are important. And after that, there's steps that keep you going. But I just think that if people did even just those three things, they would find success. Too many people see real estate as, oh, it's flexible when I want, and I'm self-employed and I could just roll out of bed at 10 and go get some Starbucks and I'll go talk to people at the office for an hour and then maybe I'll roll over to my computer, look at a couple of emails. Oh, it's broker tour today. Oh, hey, there's a mixer down the street today. Like, like some people see that as real estate, but that's not how it works. You got to be self-disciplined, self-driven. Got to get up in the morning, have a morning routine. If you don't like to work out in the morning, like go for a walk, do something, meditate, like just get your mindset and get to work at 8 or 9 and just grind, like every day, like regardless, just every day. Seeing results or not, and that's what it takes.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of nail on the head. With both of those, things as far as one, let everyone know your real estate agent because I think you're what the saying, your own mother will forget your real estate agent, will forget your real estate agent unless you consistently remind her. So, and then yeah, I mean, just that consistency piece of it is extremely important in this industry because too many agents they just don't stay consistent long enough, for whatever activities it is that they're doing. So, I always like to ask, obviously, agents have an opportunity to partner with you. And so if the agent want to look at or reach out to you to see what a partnership might look like with you and being part of the wolf pack, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I obviously check Instagram quite a bit, but as you've seen, sometimes the messages, it takes a minute. You're more than welcome to share my Instagram as well as my phone number. I do really well with calls and text messages. I have that phone with me all the time. I do check Instagram pretty frequently. Instagram's been just, I don't know, I never thought that would be such a conduit, but it's been actually the best social media platform for me as far as communicating, meeting agents, meeting clients, just networking and referrals and such. It's been a big one.
Nice, nice, awesome. I love that. Yeah. So again, if you guys ever, I'll put that information below this video. So if you guys want to look at what a partnership might look like with Shane and being part of the Wolfpack, don't hesitate to reach out to him. Otherwise, I appreciate you hopping on today, Shane, and pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.